City Council regular session for today, Monday, January the 23rd. We will now call the City Council meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Briggs.
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Here.
Councilman Estes.
Here.
Councilman Cassidy.
Here.
Councilman May.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. As is our tradition, we will begin with the pledge and our invocation. I've asked Vice Mayor Avery Johnson to pray following the pledge. If you'll please stand. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you once again for the opportunity to serve our city as council members. We pray, Lord, for your wisdom and guidance as we head into our agenda. We pray, dear God, that you will always continue to keep our community safe. We just thank you for all the blessings seen and unseen. And now, Lord, as we go, we just pray, Lord, that we remember to do and discuss the items that are very serious to a lot of members of our community. And we hope for guidance and complete divine judgment. And we just pray that you continue to be with us throughout our meeting. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Johnson, for that invocation. The next item on our agenda for 3 o'clock is to waive the reading of the minutes from our last regular session, which was Monday, January the 9th. That does require a motion by the council.
Mr. Mayor, I move the City Council of the City of Cleveland waive the reading of the minutes of the regular session of the City Council held on January 9th and approve them as written.
Second.
That is a proper motion by Vice Mayor Johnson, properly seconded by Councilman May. Are there any changes, corrections, or updates to the minutes from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. It takes us to item number 5 on the agenda, which is special presentations and public comments. We don't have any scheduled at the 3 o'clock, but we do want to congratulate again Director Fiddler. Oh my God, what a day I've had. Mark Fiddler, the award-winning director of our award-winning Jetport for the 10th anniversary. We recognized him at 1, and that congratulations stays at 3. I'm stopping right now. I don't know what's wrong. Takes us to item number 6, which is hearing, petitions, and communications, also of which there is none for the 3 o'clock session. Takes us to item number 7, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda was distributed last week and reviewed today at our 1 o'clock work session to all the members of the council. It does require a motion from the council for the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
There's a proper motion by Ken Webb. I did hear the second by Councilman Hughes first. Any questions or corrections or comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Estes. Aye. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes for the consent agenda and those 3 items that were reviewed by the city manager. It takes us to item number 8 on the agenda, 8A, unfinished business from the January 9 meeting. It's the 775 Raider Drive purchase agreement, as well as the Cleveland City School Board proposal. There was quite a bit of discussion at the 1 o'clock meeting about this, and I think I'm going to take those in reverse order. Dr. Dyer, are you or anyone from the school board prepared to make a statement? I know that it was distributed to the council. We now have that in front of us, but if you would please, although we know, state your name for the record, and we're thankful that you're here.
Good to be here. Get my paperwork straight here. Russell Dyer, Director of Schools for Cleveland City Schools. It's good to be before you today. And our school board last week did hold a special call meeting regarding the Raider Drive building, and a motion was passed that you have distributed to you now, that I will read just so those who may be watching or are in the crowd may also know about it. It says the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education has a definite interest in the 775 Raider Drive property, as it has the potential to serve the school system in various capacities, including as an administrative office, professional development, student learning centers, or shared spaces with the city or other entities. However, considering the limited time to evaluate this project, Cleveland City Schools does not have a complete understanding of the development costs or specific use of the property, as well as potential use of properties that may become vacant if the administrative office is consolidated into the Raider Drive building. For the purposes stated above, Cleveland City Schools is open to contributing to the acquisition and renovation costs, in whole or part, though further discussion is necessary once investigation of the building, including architectural drawings and construction costs, can be concluded. However, the school board supports the acquisition of the property by the city for further discussion and evaluation. So that was what was passed by the school board, 7-0 for a vote, a special call meeting, and that's where we are at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Dyer. And before I have any questions, is there any member of the council that has any questions for Dr. Dyer and or school board while he is here with us at the podium? Dr. Dyer, as was mentioned at the 1 o'clock session, there is some additional cost, closing cost, other things, and I know that you would not be able to speak on behalf of the board without them voting.
Right.
But your statement, paragraph 7, CCS is open to contributing to the acquisition renovation cost in whole or part. Would that include any additional closing costs that are voted on by the council today?
Yeah, I think that's something that I could take back to the school board for discussion, to go through the motions, to have that time to discuss with school board members and for them to vote on. Of course, as you are all aware, the superintendent is not allowed to negotiate, come up with a final price that has to be sent to our school board, just like the city council has to vote. But I think that would be something that they would be open to discussing further if the city agrees to take that building on today.
That's amazing. That's the exact same position the mayor of the city is in.
Sounds familiar?
Sounds very familiar. Thank you, Dr. Dyer. Dr. Hughes, yes.
I'd like to ask, when we had our last meeting, coming into the meeting, at least I had an understanding that the city was looking to the school board from comments made by people who are decision makers, that they would pay the amount to buy the bank building. And then you had federal funds of $2.5 million to retrofit it. And everything we did last meeting, as far as I'm concerned, was based on the city school board coming back with something in writing for us that we could look at and say, yes, this is what we're going to vote on. Can you tell me about that?
So where we stand is by what the board voted on the other day. You know, the board has gone on the record to state that they have a definite interest. They are very interested in that 775 Raider Drive building. We have a whole list of proposals of ways that we could utilize that building, not just for administrative office space, although that is important. You know, right now, just as Mr. Fivas mentioned earlier, we have administrative personnel scattered in 5 different locations right now. And we need to bring those people under one umbrella. We have really very limited professional development space for teacher training, for professional development for staff members. We have no storage whatsoever at our current office building on Mouse Creek. We have our files and things that are stored outdoors in container ships, basically. There are a whole litany of reasons we need that. We would utilize that space, including possible academic space at that building. Where the board stands at this time is if and when the city council decides to take on that building, pay whatever fees, whatever comes from that, that's, I think, when the city school board could come back together in a special call meeting or a regular meeting and have that final discussion from our side on how we would proceed after you take those first steps. But you're correct, we do have funding available. One-time capital funds, bonds that are available to do work on this particular building site. So those funds are available and have not been allocated toward anything else at this point that could be used to renovate this building.
Well, why would the board not just commit? You know, we want it, we'll take it, we've got the money.
Right. Well, I think that's something that we talked about, and, you know, I think there's some unknowns about the building because the board has not had an opportunity as a whole to tour that building yet. You know, they've not had the opportunity to go inside, look around, see it. We also have, our architect that did go in, do a quick review of the building, but there was some desire, for example, to see the mechanicals actually operating and those kind of things, just to see exactly what the cost would be. Yes, we do have funds available to go in and do renovations, but we want to make sure that the renovations that would be needed would be covered by what we currently have in funding available. But I think we are in a good place. I think that we have funds available, and I know there's a desire from the school board through a 7-0 vote to pursue this further and to take that building on as a project, as long as we can work out all the financial details. But we do have those funds available. So, for example, if you move forward on the contract, and I know there's some discussion about the details of the contract, I think that's something that I could take back to our school board, have that further discussion, and, you know, I can't promise how a vote would go one way or the other. That's for the board to decide. But from our discussions, I think we would be in a good place moving forward.
Any other questions? Councilman Webb, is that a, yes, sir. I saw a finger, I wasn't sure.
Dr. Dyer, you talk about the funds that you have available and that they're not committed.
Right.
How far in the foreseeable future do you see before there would be a reason to commit them to something?
Well, each of you I know has a copy of our future facility study that was given to you a couple of months back, I believe. You know, in the future, there's going to be a need for another school to be built. We know that Cleveland is growing. Our population is up in the city schools. Right now, we're able to contain that growth, and we're doing okay as far as that is right now. But we know down the road, there's going to be need for, right now, our plan is an intermediate school. And there's also going to be plans for renovating the high school. Parts of that high school need to be renovated and changed just because time happens and buildings get older. But that doesn't seem to be something that we would need in the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years. That seems to be something we'd be looking at down the road. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to come to you and say that there's no, I have a guarantee that come next year, some emergency might not, could take place at a school, or there could be something else that happens that we may have to come back. But right now, I don't see that in the distant or in the near future for us to need to do that.
Dr. Dyer, before any other council members, the current plan, as I understand it from both your motion and discussion, is the move of the administrative offices, the AOB,
Right.
into the Raider Drive.
That's right.
Are there any numbers that were given to you of what an AOB would cost if you had to build it from scratch versus the acquisition of this building?
Our architect team, Upland Design Group, back in April of 2021, produced a report on the Denning Center. And it's a facility study that went in-depth to the Denning Center because at that time, before we knew Raider Drive was back on the market, so to say, we had a study commissioned to go in and actually change the Denning Center into what would now be an administrative office building, consolidating all of our places together. Let me pull that page so I'm quoting this correctly. Not page numbers, give me 1 second to get there. A lot of pages to look through, excuse me 1 second. Okay, so the cost to renovate the Denning Center into usable space, and this is based on 2021 cost, would be between $4 to $4.5 million to do the improvements needed to make that into a space that would incorporate kind of what we're talking about now. To build a new construction of a new office facility, like what we're talking about now, but the estimate was between $9 to $10 billion, or $1 million, excuse me. That'd be a whole lot. $9 to $10 million would be the estimated cost if we were gonna build something from scratch.
Okay.
How many square feet is the Denny Center in this proposal?
Mr. Taylor, you know, offhand.
45.
We're using 18,800 square feet. A lot of the Denny Center is unusable at this point.
So 20,000 square feet. And 45 is like the other building, the Rager Drive?
Right.
What was the new building that you quoted? What was the square footage on that if you built a new building? What were you
How do
asking?
you know?
I don't have that. It would be considerably more with updating the top, fixing the upstairs, and also changing the gym over into a boardroom and training area.
I think he was talking about to build a new building.
To build a new building? How many
The estimated size, I assume it would be the same size as what we're looking at right now for the Denny Center,
20.
about 20,000.
Dr. Dang, thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot. Any other council member questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we began with the end in mind. We heard from Cleveland City School Board proposals first. If we go back to the 775 Raider Drive purchase agreement, that has been distributed to all members of the council. And Councilman Cassada, I believe you asked for this to be introduced to the council in the form of a motion.
Yes.
I'll defer to you.
Mayor, I'm gonna try to stick this the first time. I hope I'll get a 10-0, not a 9 or 8 or 6. I'd like to make a motion that the city of Cleveland accepts this amount of $759,000 and some change with the also the 2002 property taxes to be a part of that, which is, I think, around $32,000 or $33,000. The closing costs also be paid from the city of Cleveland on that, which wouldn't be that much, with the exception, with the title search being done and being cleared, that this will go forward on that part. But I think we need to have a title search, but I think if the title search is cleared, I think I'd like to see the city of Cleveland move forward with this. This is to me, this is a steal in the market for the city of Cleveland, or taking the school board out of it. The cost of this building on the tax roll is $3.6 million, and the replacement value is probably close to $20 million with the property and where it's at. I don't see how the city of Cleveland can bypass this and walk away from this with an opportunity that this could serve our public. It could serve our school systems. It could serve our students, our teachers. If not that, it could still, I think that the city of Cleveland still needs to obtain this. I think it's a sweet deal. We've done other processes in the past, and I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to muddy the water up, but we've approved things that, bought things that are on the tax roll a lot less, hundreds of thousands of dollars less. But we got an opportunity now to buy something that's worth a lot more money, a lot more value that we could use for the city of Cleveland or public schools.
Thank you, Councilman. Let me just confirm, as the motion has stated, 759, 610,
Yes.
plus the 2022 taxes at approximately 32,000, plus the closing,
Yes.
contingent upon
The title
title clearing.
search. The title
Christie, is
search.
that, all right, Councilman Cassada, that is a proper motion. It does require a second from the council before we can proceed.
Say something before we take a second.
It does need to have a second before we can have discussion.
Second.
That is a proper second by Councilman Estes. Councilwoman McKenzie, you were first. Councilman Webb, you'll be next.
I was just gonna say that I think if we move forward in that motion, that it would be premature doing so, because I clearly asked for cost and, of what this was gonna cost, and I did ask for something in writing from the school, and I just think it's premature.
All right. That is a proper,
Not a statement that we're in favor, I was talking about a commitment, a memorandum of understanding of what the school is willing to do.
and
Mayor,
Councilman Kessler?
Dr. Dyer did state that they would be willing to entertain if the city would participate and go forward with this. Until we do this, there's no reason for them to even.
well, and my only comment would be editorially under discussion would be that possibly we could not expect the city school board to make a commitment until we ourselves make a commitment.
Mayor, if I could, a procedural
Certainly.
question and then just some personal thoughts on this to my colleagues. I didn't like your motion. It's 2022, and Mr. Kimball, I'm guessing that this would mean a new 2022 taxes, not 2002. Also, I'm guessing.
2022, yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm guessing this would also mean a new contract.
Yes, what you would be doing is you would be making an offer to him, is in essence a counter offer for clarification for the three items that we discussed.
And change the date in section 21 to like
That's right.
February,
So the way
March.
that would happen,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
this received a majority vote, is you would present that to him, and assuming,
Yeah.
I mean, he's approved this one, you have every reason to assume you should approve that one. He signed this one.
Thank you. So to my colleagues, the 1 o'clock meeting was interesting, and it gave me some perspective. Take the city school board out of it. We invest pennies in a jet port. We look forward, we talk about, wow, 10 years ago. Mark, where we're gonna be, Mr. Fiddler, where we're gonna be in 10 years from now? Wow. We spent $6 million on industrial park, then we spent another 6 to ramp it up. God, even the county threw $2 million in. Why? About the future. We get out ahead of the game, we're proactive, we do things in the future. We just bought the Cherokee Hotel. Why? Same reason. Pie Center, $33 million. It's gonna pay for itself. A month ago, we were given moving Cleveland forward. We're gonna invest $136 million. All in the future, about the future. We can't buy a $800,000 building? Yes, we have the money to do it. Yes, we can buy it. It's worth 5-6 times that. We know for $1.2 million, we can make it top of the line and we can lease it out. We don't need the schools. It's good business sense for the citizens of Cleveland to have this margin, to have our own growth. If the schools don't want to participate, fine, we'll lease it to them. They're gonna come. Take the schools out. I second the motion. This is what's best for Cleveland. This is what we've been doing for the last decade. We've been thinking forward. We've been thinking ahead. We have a remarkable offer in front of us, just like a T-hanger, way below market value. We jumped on that. And now what are we doing? We are benefiting from that. This is what a good municipal body should do. This is how we are good stewards for those who elect us. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Webb?
I just wanted a clarification. Are we talking about the price being $759 plus $32,000, and then the unpaid taxes come out of our funds at closing?
Actually,
Actually, out of
the
his
way that would work would be you'd have to take more money to closing.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have, in essence, you look at it two ways. You could say, the purchase price is this number, plus we'll pay the 2022 taxes of the amounts I gave Councilman Estes, or you say the purchase price is that amount, and it includes that. But either way, for you to have clear title, the taxes have to be satisfied.
So the motion is that we pay the taxes in addition to the $759.
The motion and second is as purchase price plus unpaid taxes and whatever additional closing,
Closing costs.
with the caveat that it would have to have clear title.
Sure.
And Golly, I'm ballparking that at 800.
Additional closing?
That's just what we take to close.
Ah.
I'm ballparking that at 800. Mr. Kimball, is that far off?
Well, there are parts you would incur at closing anyway as the buyer. You would want to pay for the title insurance premium. You wouldn't want to make a substantial purchase like this without buying title insurance, but that would be your expense of closing anyway as the purchaser. So that wouldn't change. It's already gonna be on your side of the one, okay? But the things the seller would ordinarily pay are typically deed preparation, that kind of stuff, okay?
Ballpark of financial numbers, 800,000 out of bounds.
$1,000.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm saying, Ken. That's how I can. It's worth it to the city.
I just don't understand why we're adding the taxes. I thought that was how the price was determined. So many years' worth of utilities and so many years' worth of taxes. And if those 22 taxes were in the sum of that, it just looks to me like we're adding them back again. I just don't understand. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a chronology problem, Councilman Webb. I think we began this process and the sales agreement or sales letter, which was not accepted and an agreement was requested, is actually dated a year ago. And if we had concluded this transaction at the original letter from the seller, those taxes would not have been included. But this council has been debating this for a year, and so that's why the additional year of taxes is now on the table. It was not on the table originally. It's just taken us a year to come to this day.
Originally, it was offered for nothing, and we voted to accept it for nothing. If you talk about what's been done, yeah, and what the history of it, so.
Any other Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Out of all the things that we do here at the city of Cleveland, our number one obligation is to think about what's best for the city of Cleveland. And, you know, education to me is number one. That's me. I realize police and fire does a tremendous job to protect our city and do a lot of things in that area. But for me, and the path that I had to come through, as I look back, education was most important, school. And I didn't get a chance to go to college right away. But if our educational system needs this facility, and they've already stated it over and over, we might have fumbled here and there and drug our feet on something that cost us a little bit more, but for me, I don't see how we can pass it up, because it's to deal with educating our kids in whatever way the schools, and I know the school board and school system needs this building. I served on the school board back in 1980. And every meeting, we couldn't even get into a lot of other things in planning because we were so concerned about putting roofs on top of buildings. We had all kinds of problems, all kinds of shortages of funding. So whatever it takes, I really wish that this council would go ahead and let's just make sure that we secure this building for the future. It would help a lot in the future, and I know that the school system could use it. So whatever it takes, whatever we can come up with, I mean, $22,000 is, if I had it, I'd donate it myself. I mean, that's just how important this issue is. And I think at the school board, they don't come to us for nothing. They used to have to come every year, lay out the whole plan. I was here and right off the school board, and they're laying out the whole plan for the whole year before we even approved their budget and approved their funding. So I think it's really important that we do show that we still support education to this level, that whatever it takes, that we need to go ahead and vote to approve this.
Councilman Webb, your question deserves an answer. My incredulity was at the pragmatism of my thinking. The answer is in the email I sent. I thought they were walking with 759. If charge them taxes, they don't walk with $7.59 as we've offered. That's the answer. How do you get them to get what we offered them if we pay those taxes? So, the pragmatic part is, what is $30,000 in light of a $4 million building in perpetuity? In perpetuity.
I understand.
Yeah, so, but no, that's the pragmatic part. I gave you the answer, because I thought they'd walk away from closing with $7.59. That was the whole genesis behind my email over the questioning Joe.
And my explanation is the summary that I had seen, the way the 759 was arrived, included the 2022 taxes.
Now, the mayor's right, because when we met with Mr. Preston and his wife, and then his accountant, and then his other, whoever else was at the table, they brought up through like 20. It wasn't even up to, it was up to the first time he offered it. And so those got tacked on after we met with him in November or December. Kevin, I really don't remember when
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was November.
It's been, we wanted, I think, I'm not speaking out of turn, Mayor, if I say something wrong and I don't remember. I really felt like he wanted to close on December before the end of the tax year.
I understand.
Right, I think that's what I was hearing. We didn't meet, we couldn't get farther down this discussion road to get there. So, your question deserves an answer, that's all I got.
Thank you.
All right, we've heard, we have a proper motion still on the table with Councilman Cassada. It was properly seconded by Councilman Estes. We've had hearty discussion between the council members. We've heard comments and commitments from Director Dyer. Are there any additional comments or questions from council members? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Cass,
Aye.
Councilman Estes, Councilman May,
No.
Councilman Hughes,
No.
Councilman Webb,
No.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
No.
Could you please read that?
It's fails 4-3.
Fails 4-3. All right. That takes us to item number 9 on the agenda, which is reports from council members. We begin with Councilman Estes.
Give me just a second, Mayor.
Councilman Estes, you're recognized.
Yep, it's coming.
Mayor, can I ask for a recess for 5 minutes, please, so we get our thoughts together?
Certainly. Request for a recess will be
5 minutes.
recessed until 3:45.